pirate philosophy. In this series of videos, I will be describing an original philosophy, one that you won't find anywhere else, but it is one that is logical, rigorous, and dynamic. Welcome to pirate philosophy. In the previous video, I discussed the preparation for our philosophical journey and how we would only take with us the concepts of evolution, a logical processor, and a compass. In today's video, I want first to go to the very depths of philosophy and suggest how a division between the material and the immaterial might be manifest. And after that, we will make a start on our journey. So let's start with some material. I will be using some wooden blocks to illustrate what I am suggesting. Here are some wooden blocks. They are matter, purely matter. Nothing but matter. But supposing I arrange them in a particular way. But what if I arrange the matter in this particular form? It then becomes something more than just matter. It becomes symbolic. These are symbols that we recognize. And these symbols can have significance. I could just change it a little bit, and the whole significance of the symbols changes. Or I can arrange them in another way. Or I can arrange the material like this. Something completely different. Different symbols, different significance. The point I want to make is that the separation of the immaterial from the material is through an arrangement of material. And this arrangement can be symbolic and significant. And you are both material and immaterial. You have a mind and awareness that is unique to you. And what I'm suggesting is that it is the arrangement of the material of which you are composed that allows for your immaterial mind. But where does this significance come from? How is it achieved? Well, that is something we can explore on our philosophical journey. So now, where can we start to explore the development of symbols? Let us begin with the concept of evolution and a logical processor, as mentioned at the start of this video. Let us go to a time of evolution at the very start of animal life. It is a world full of plant life. And we will look at a primeval animal and how it might interact with the world. We will allow this animal to have sensory organs, such as vision or perhaps smell, and perhaps some internal senses as well as to its overall well-being, such as the fullness of its stomach. It has motor outputs as well that enable it to move its body and perhaps have a biting movement with its mouth. And by motor outputs, I mean a control of its muscles. It also has a proto-brain that controls its motor outputs in response to its sensory data. And while this brain is a physical entity, in the same way that a heart or liver are physical entities, its operation can be modeled using logic. And by logic, I mean a set of rules that determine how it operates. And since this is philosophy, we shall be focusing entirely on its logic rather than its physical characteristics. It is important to note that at this stage of development, the logical processor has no concepts of anything. It has no concepts of its sensory data, nor of its motor outputs. It just has rules that determine how it processes the data and how it operates its motor outputs. The question now is, what sort of rules would enable it to function as a viable animal? Clearly, these rules will be developed through trial and error and a process of evolution. Some will work effectively and the animal thrives, whereas others will not work and the animal and its genes do not survive. So now we will use our compass to point in the direction of the sort of rules that would enable the animal to flourish. So what might these rules be? At the simplest level, what the animal can do is to take a portion of the data, store it, and then apply its motor outputs, such as moving forward and biting, depending on whether this improves its overall well-being, which it will perhaps knows from the fullness of its stomach. We can illustrate this using the wooden blocks. Suppose the animal encounters some data. It could be visual or olfactory, i.e. smell, and it can store the data as that. And suppose the rules of the logical processor are along the lines of, if the data is unrecognized, move forward and bite. So the animal does not recognize that, moves forward and bites. Then, if the associated data from the stomach is, you'll represent by that, store this with the data. So that's what the animal does. Stores this over here. Suppose then it encounters a different set of data. And again it moves forward and bites. And this time this signal from its stomach is that. So it stores that. Somewhere within its, and it stores that within its logical processor. And then it encounters another bit of data, which is this, and it recognizes it, and it's associated with a stone. And supposing that within its rules, it says that if it's associated with a stone, then to move forward and bite. And if it's associated with a shell, that bit of data that I'm just calling a shell, then it is to avoid and go elsewhere. So our animal encounters this, it associates it with a stone, it moves forward and bites. And it continues to do this for the rest of its life, which is unfortunately rather short. And it dies. It does not survive to pass on its genes. But it has a sibling with very similar logical rules, except that the logical rules for the sibling are that if it finds a shell, then it is to move forward and bite, and if it is a rock, it is to avoid it. So then this organism comes along and it sees a bit of data like this, and it avoids it. And then it comes across a bit of data like this, and it moves forward and bites. And this organism survives and reproduces so that its genes can pass on. What I'm showing here is how a primitive animal can use its logical processor to interact with the world, to benefit itself in an entirely mechanical way, and also to show how evolution can impact on the logical rules which it follows. But this animal has no idea what it is doing. It is entirely inanimate. It is interacting with its environment in an entirely mechanical way. It has no conception of anything, neither itself nor the world. And no matter how complex or refined the system of storing data and reacting to it becomes, the logical processor can never be more than an inanimate machine. And much the same goes for modern computers, artificial intelligence. They're entirely inanimate. They have no concepts of themselves or the world or anything. People are different. We have concepts of the world. We have an understanding of the world. So how is it possible that such an animal, as we were discussing, could evolve into an animal that has awareness of itself and of its environment in the way that other animals, such as us humans, have awareness of ourselves and our surroundings? This will be discussed in the next video. Well, that is all I have for you today. If you have any interesting comments or questions about today's video, please leave them in the comments section below. And if you would like to continue this journey with me, then please subscribe to my channel, give it a thumbs up, and ring the bell. Thank you.